Hello, I'm Antonio Mora. This is the newsandnews.com day in brief on Thursday, February 14th at about 7 p.m. Happy Valentine's Day. Whether President Trump would sign a congressional deal to avert a shutdown remained an open question for much of the day today. Without the president's support, it wasn't clear that Republican senators would pass the measure. That crisis was averted when Trump and Senate Majority Leader McConnell reached a separate deal. Trump would sign the bill, but he would declare a national emergency. And McConnell, who had opposed that before, would now support it. The Senate then proceeded to overwhelmingly approve the measure. Congress should follow suit soon, and Trump will sign it, keeping the government open through September and giving Trump some money to build border barriers. Then we will see a new fight. As soon as Trump declares an emergency to try and access other funds to build a wall, legal challenges will follow immediately. Many GOP leaders still oppose the emergency declaration as unconstitutional and setting a bad precedent. Speaker Pelosi and Minority Leader Schumer have called it a lawless act. While all presidents have declared emergencies since the National Emergency Act became law in 1976, never has one done so on a controversial issue that Congress has voted on. And Article 1 of the Constitution grants Congress the power of the purse. Former FBI Acting Director Andrew McCabe revealed some bombshells from his new book today. Chief among them was that the Department of Justice and FBI had high-level discussions to recruit cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment to push Trump out of office because of an alleged inability to discharge the duties of the presidency. McCabe describes how he was greatly troubled that Trump could have won the presidency, quote, with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage. He also says he ordered the obstruction of justice probe into President Trump and took measures to ensure the Trump investigations wouldn't vanish. Trump has already called the book a disgrace, and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein has described some of McCabe's comments as inaccurate and factually incorrect. The Senate confirmed William Barr to serve as Trump's next Attorney General. The vote was mostly down party lines. Further evidence of how politicians on Capitol Hill are so wedded to what the bases of their parties want that they can't discharge their duties in the way they traditionally have. Barr was sworn in this afternoon in the Oval Office by Chief Justice John Roberts. A federal judge ruled that former Trump campaign chair Paul Manafort lied to Special Counsel Mueller's prosecutors and a grand jury, intentionally violating the terms of his guilty plea. Specifically, the judge said Manafort lied about his contacts with Konstantin Kilimnik, who is alleged to have ties to Russian intelligence. But the judge did not side with Mueller on all of the alleged lies. Still, this likely means Manafort will get an even stiffer sentence. Today was the anniversary of the Parkland massacre, one of the worst and most heart-wrenching mass shootings in U.S. history. The House is advancing efforts to tighten gun laws, but there is little chance they will pass the Senate or be signed by Trump. A new winter storm called Nadia has pounded the Pacific Northwest. It will start affecting the lower Midwest tomorrow before heading to the Mid-Atlantic region. It's been a mess out west. Redding, California only gets snow once every couple of years. Yesterday it got a foot, knocking out power to tens of thousands. More than 1,800 dairy cows were killed in a freak Washington state blizzard. States of emergencies were declared from California to Washington state. Torrential rains in California caused flash flooding and mudslides. A White House security specialist who raised concerns about unwarranted security clearances is seeking whistleblower protection. Tricia Newbold was suspended without pay for defying her supervisor. Newbold claims security files were mishandled and that dozens of security clearances should not have been granted, including Jared Kushner's. First, Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tweeted anti-Semitic tropes. Then, the representative unequivocally apologized. Trump followed that up by calling for her to resign. She fired back that he had trafficked in hate his whole life. The House then unanimously passed a measure condemning anti-Semitism, sending Omar a message. That was followed by a hostile exchange when she questioned Elliot Abrams, the envoy for Venezuela. Now we learn she's raising funds off the anti-Semitic controversy. Divisions among Democrats in New York State have killed Amazon's plans to build a new headquarters in New York City. Representative Ocasio-Cortez had vociferously opposed it. Mayor de Blasio and Governor Cuomo, both Democrats, had strongly supported the headquarters. Carolyn Maloney, the Democrat who represents the district where Amazon was planning to build, is none too happy, tweeting that she's disappointed New York City will lose out on 25,000 new jobs and that, quote, this is not the Valentine that New York needed. A furious Cuomo lambasted politicians who, quote, put their own narrow political interests above their community. Top diplomats from more than 60 countries are discussing the Middle East at a summit in Warsaw, Poland. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said today that there will not be peace in the region without confronting Iran. Arab nations have joined Israel at the conference. Pompeo says all nations in Warsaw agree about the Iranian threat, but European unions have helped Iran skirt U.S. sanctions. Theresa May suffered another embarrassing defeat when her latest Brexit plan was shot down after she faced a rebellion from some members of her own party. Very weak retail sales numbers for December snapped a 4-day winning streak for the S&P 500. It also brought down European shares that were at 3-month highs. Production of the massive Airbus A380 will end in 2021. The kiss of death came when Emirates cut back its orders for the Super Jumbos. In our alternate universes segment, the great divide between conservative and liberal media is clear when it comes to the presidential emergency declaration. On the liberal networks, anchors and pundits are questioning the basic premise, arguing that there is no border emergency. Easy for them to say from their perches inside the Beltway and on Manhattan's Upper West Side. On the conservative side, they have no doubt there's a dire emergency, even though most drugs don't come through the southern border, and while the number of illegal immigrants coming in has ticked up recently, it is much smaller than 2 decades ago. Finally, bad news for female diet soda lovers. Drinking 2 or more a day is linked to a higher risk of stroke, heart attacks, and early death in women over 50. Women who are obese or African American are at greater risk. I hope they're not too bad for men, because I drink about 4 a day. We have all those sorts and much more updated around the clock 7 days a week on newsandnews.com, where you will find all you need to know in one place. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the right of your screen just below this video. Please follow us on Facebook at Real News and News, and follow me on Twitter at @AMoraTV. I'll see you again tomorrow.